Hello, I'm Meghan Schiller from KDKA-TV News, and this is your KDKA News Now update. I've got your top headlines and the latest weather. We're hearing from a Philips Respironics CPAP user as a federal court order says that the company must stop making the machines at 3 facilities in Westmoreland County. As Ross Godotti reports, the ruling comes amid claims Philips failed to comply with measures to ensure the safety of those machines.
In a consent decree reached between the FDA, Justice Department, and Philips Respironics, the company has agreed to stop manufacturing breathing machines and ventilators made at company facilities in Murraysville, New Kensington, and Mount Pleasant. Now, this comes after a recall of millions of the devices used to treat sleep apnea were recalled due to concerns that foam used in the machines could degrade and result in potential cancer risks.
My answer to that is it's about time. This has been going on. There's been complaints about the machine since as far back as 2010.
Richard Callender has used a Philips Respironics CPAP machine for years.
In 2015, I had a bilateral lung transplant. And in 2021, I had a kidney transplant.
Given that, when he heard about the recall, Callender did what he says the company told him to do and sent it back for a refund, replacement, or repair.
They said they would expedite it. It took them over 2 years. 2 years with my conditions. And it's absolutely unforgivable.
The decree mandates that Philips Respironics outline options to make sure what happened to Mr. Callender won't happen to others. It also says United States production plants must overhaul their manufacturing and quality control systems and hire independent experts to vet any of the changes.
Unfortunately, the situation's still ongoing. People have machines out there still.
As for the company, Philips CEO Roy Jacobs said strengthening patient safety and quality remains Philips' highest priority, and the increased scrutiny will help us improve even more. With the agreement on the consent decree for Philips Respironics in place, we now have a clear path forward to gradually restore the business serving patients around the world. Richard Callender says that's great, but while he thinks the company is at fault, he tells KDKA Washington also dropped the ball.
I believe that there should be a heavy investigation into the FDA and why there wasn't any action taken sooner. They seem to turn a blind eye on that.
In Lower Burl, Ross Godotti, KDKA-TV News.
The EPA is pushing forward with plans to protect all of us from forever chemicals known as PFAS. It announced the first ever national regulations on the amount of PFAS allowed in drinking water. The new standards will require testing to limit exposure to the cancer-causing chemicals. The EPA says that that's going to prevent thousands of deaths and illnesses. Today, I talked with local environmentalists and even a fisherman in the area to see what they think of the new rules. It's a day of celebration for many local environmental leaders as the EPA puts limits on forever chemicals in our drinking water.
Science informs us that the PFAS exposures are toxic even at these low concentrations, and PFAS have been linked to very certain and specific cancers, linked to harm to the reproductive and nervous systems, as well as cardiovascular disease.
These new drinking water standards will crack down on the man-made chemicals that come from anything from firefighting foam to furniture.
Drinking water utilities will be required to test for 3 years and then have an additional 2 years to comply with the new limits on PFAS. And as I mentioned, Congress has provided the funding to addressing PFAS in drinking water.
Water systems will use that new funding to monitor 6 different PFAS and remove them if they're above the allowable levels.
The most exciting thing is that now the levels are going to start to come down. And so that's why these rules are so important, because there isn't really a way to avoid this. It's either in our tap water and it's certainly in our bottled water. And so unless you know of a specific high level of contamination on your personal private well, there is no step to take right now besides sit tight and get excited for our water to get even healthier.
And now here's First Alert meteorologist Ray Petlin with a look at your weather.
So that's what we're going to be watching. But this evening we have this rain that's moving through. All of that's going to be light. It's down to the south where these storms are kicking right now. That's the system, the cluster that's going to move up towards us. And that's going to set especially eastern Ohio, up for the potential of numerous strong to severe thunderstorms. But we're in the scattered area of strong to severe thunderstorms, which you don't want to be in that either. But oftentimes when these are close to us, you have to watch real close because sometimes those storms try to drift a little outside of where you're thinking. So just know tomorrow during the late afternoon and evening, some of those storms could be quite gusty. Some could have hail, and we can't rule out some rotation within some of those storms. So it's one of the things that we're going to watch for very closely. On top of that, there is going to be some gusty winds, and a lot of times you think of storms and the winds just in the storms. These winds are going to fall outside the storms, up into the ridges and even into the lower parts of Westmoreland County, Fayette County, even Indiana. So just know, east of Pittsburgh, gusty winds to 50 miles per hour, not out of the question. But this evening, we have these mild temperatures, mid-60s in most cases, cloudy skies, light showers. The rain we have tonight is not heavy, but we are looking at strong to severe thunderstorms possible tomorrow with the gusty winds. Overall, a mild forecast coming up, even warm if you want to talk about it, because temperatures are going to get back in the mid-70s again. We'll try to find some sunshine in that forecast. It's going to be a little difficult, but I think we can do it coming up.